one Jade body, and that would be what your luminary body would be composed of. Yep. Here we go. Let's see. This again is a recap from the Sliders 5. This one showed the organic phasing sequences. I only put this up here to show the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These are the frequencies involved with forming the full Jade, six-dimensional Jade body, orb body. So they are the frequencies and their corresponding light body fields and all of that kind of thing that we talked about that was quite technical in Sliders 5. So these frequencies would be different. You'd have the D1, D2, and D3, and then you'd have D1, D2, and D3 double from the Cosmea flame frequencies, and they would be within the density 1 Jade body, and that would be what your luminary body would be composed of. Next one, please. Back to here again. Okay, now this is just a very basic, and again, they're going to let us know in workshops to come more things about the luminary body and the ephemeral vehicle that it is within. But for this, what they're just showing, to get an idea, if this, and they're just showing like the D2 level of this, but it corresponds with D1, D2, D3, right, on, in density 1 and the density 1 body. So this is just showing the D2 level. If this was your D2 temporal body, your physical body, right? You'd have that would be the physical, the flesh body. This one around it here would be the temporal body. And then here would be the D2 level of your luminary body. Okay? So it would actually sit, unless you're moving it around for specific things, with its feet at your knees, and your head would be around its waist, and its azure would be up here, and it would be taller than you. There's going to be, I think, breathing techniques where they teach us how to bring it in and bring into register with it and do various things. This around it, this larger sphere around it, that is the ephemeral vehicle, and there are times when the luminary body has the ability to do the phasing cycles that we saw for the full Jade body. It can't take your physical body fully with it, but it can do it unto itself, turn itself into a double three-dimensional Jade orb for traveling back and forth between the Aurora continuum and the Wa fields. So there's also a thing that this will do that we'll talk about in a second that has to do with this prana ring that forms. Now this would be like the top portion of your D2 Christ star vehicle. And at the top of that, there would be a stream of energy that comes from the azure level of your luminary body that begins to perpetually, the prana ring sparks and perpetually sends currents into the physical body to accelerate the transfiguration process, the transmutation and transfiguration process of the atomic structure, but also to revitalize it. So it will begin to strengthen the physical body structure itself by bringing more of this blended frequency of the density 1 Jade frequencies plus the Cosmea flame frequencies directly into the physical body. So it's like getting an amplified lifeline, like the cosmic B12 shot, that will begin the process of, or amplify. We've started the processes that hold off maybe not hold off the aging processes yet, but start to protect the body from more rapid deterioration that would be occurring because of the Metatronic frequencies flowing on the planet. This will be the next level up of bringing in the revitalization, and we will be taught progressively how to use that, and there's probably several ways to do it. I know when we do the sliders 10, 11, and 12, they'll do the same format where they always, the first one will be the mental body layers, which are the D3 layers, etc. Then it'll be the emotional body telluric layers, which are the D2 layers, which are what we know as the physical, and then the D1 etheric and Rasha as the spirit body layers. So the last three sliders will be addressing those. And I'm sure we will learn more how to use this stream. They're not even saying what stream, they're not giving that stream a name yet, because I don't know if this is going to activate yet, but because we're just beginning the process of activating the luminary body. So that's the luminary body, and that's its ephemeral vehicle around it that it will pull up into in order to go into its own ephemeral orb and travel, and then it can, project itself de-orb itself into a version that looks like you, a being that would look, is you, but made out of that aseus matter composition, so you can travel. In other words, you can have two of yourselves running around. And there's going to be, I think, they're going to teach us at some point how to start visiting each other. And then when certain little groups can actually visit each other, we can possibly make appointments at certain space-time locations that even if it's not the same time in your space-time location, you can project to that space-time location to pick up on meetings or perhaps workshops with the beloveds and those kind of things. And this will be the vehicle that would be used to do that. Around this much larger space here, this would be considered the eternal, density 1 eternal vehicle, or the consciousness field, the Cosmea flame consciousness field on the density 1 layer. So you have the three bodies of the Buddha, the density 1 Buddha, which would be your eternal vehicle, your ephemeral vehicle, and your temporal vehicle, and the bodies that go with them. So that's the beginning of understanding the anatomy of the ephemeral vehicle and luminary body that will activate due to the activation of the Dankiti levels. I'm getting tired, so excuse me. So hopefully that helps to conceptualize where the activation is, because they just introduced all this Kiti stuff in the last workshop on the cruise, and that was not the most conducive place for intensive, detailed things. The times were very difficult even to arrange where we could meet on the boat, and we had to meet in a vacant restaurant, and the captain guy would make his announcements through the boat, and they'd come through as we were trying to do the thing. It's this is your captain speaking. Welcome to, right? And he'd go off and list the day's activities and the whole bit. Yeah. So it wasn't the most conducive environment to do the technical part. So I almost feel like this was part A and part B of one workshop, because these are the technicals that we really weren't able to get down there, but we did all the grid work that was essential at that point in time. The only difference is we were we should have been further along in the personal Dankiti activations, and that did not start in October, because of the Fallen Amente gates being opened. So now we're not going to have that problem anymore, because we're going to actually have the 4 levels of that activation, 4 density levels of the Dara activation occur, and then tomorrow the 2 extra layers going across of the Mua and the Mura and the Antura activations. So this is again a huge personal activation workshop, but these are also activating in the planetary Terakiti bodies as well. So it begins the transmutation, an accelerated transmutation of the karmic imprint in the planetary body itself. So hopefully that will diffuse some of the warring stuff that is building as a recycling of the planetary karmic imprints associated with each of those levels. Next one, please. Uh-oh, here we go. Oh, I think this might be 29. What number is this? 28. There's 29. Right, so this was just the real quick, all right, what are we doing, beloveds, tonight? This is this session, the Saturday, Sunday, early AM, right? We're having 4 planetary Terakiti Dara 1 pillar anchorings and beginnings of the activations, and the corresponding 4 personal Dankiti Dara 4 initiations. So as the planetary level ones come in tonight, and it's just going to be literally a series. They're going to let me know when those activations are coming. It'll start as a pillar anchoring that will then spread into the planetary grids as an activation, and then at a certain point that will flip into initiating activation, just beginning activation in the same four layers of the Dankiti Dara layers, and that will correspond to those four activations going down vertically on the Dara chart that we saw on that chart that showed the Dara column and the four activations going down. Then later, when we meet this afternoon, we'll have these will be those four the Dankiti Dara layers that were initiated before we leave today. They will activate. They will be brought into sequential activation in our fields in the Aquafarian shield, and let's see, and that will be, and this will progress, and I didn't say how long this one's going to take, but it will begin the bringing in of the 576 incarnations of our own, of our own family of consciousness. And I have a feeling I just got a little nudge, because I just saw, I think this activation tomorrow, like later today, has to do with 576 sparks, one for each of those, and that begins the thread of them coming online and bringing the frequency in. All right, and we'll also have activation of the planetary Terra-Kini ephemeral vehicle luminary body. Interesting. So this, on the planetary logos level, this is the Terra-Kini. That would go also with the Dankini, which is the one that goes across, where we were supposed to do just the Dara level, but also there's going to be the beginning of the Mura level and then the Antura level going on that horizontal on the chart. They're going to do that on the planetary level, and that's called the Terra-Kini level. So we're actually beginning the activation of Earth's ephemeral vehicle and luminary body, which is really neat to know. Hopefully they give us more information during this workshop period on what that is. And it'll be the initiation of the personal Dankini ephemeral vehicle and luminary body. So we will begin the initiation of that activation that leads into full activation and mobility of the luminary body and the ephemeral vehicle. Plus, oh God help me, 6 techniques. I don't know if these are going to be written or if they're going to, do them sometimes where they'll just give me little cues and they get run live. I'm not sure what. 6 techniques for personal Dankini ephemeral vehicle luminary body progressive activation. So these are going to be techniques that, oh God, how are they going to do it? To do 6 techniques, it's going to take me 2 days. I know that. So if they're going to full typeset them, I don't know what this is going to look like. They will run them, but they are something that we can do that we can take home to continue the progressive activation of the ephemeral vehicle and the luminary body. So we'll start that activation while we are here. And then there are things we can do, and hopefully they're not like 20 steps long each, because there's no way, even if I started right now, I would get those typeset or even written down in time to give them to you before you left. But they will give us 6 techniques. Now these are going to be a different set of 6 techniques, because before the 6 techniques they would have given us, if things had gone normal and we had the first level of the Dankini Dara activations happening by October 31st, there would have been a smaller set of 6 techniques to start bringing in the next level. They wouldn't have had anything to do with the luminary body at all, because that was an advancement that came, out of that negative came this positive where they're doing these activations. So whatever the techniques they were going to give us before would have, whatever they were going to activate are getting blown through and going on autopilot because of the 4 initiations we will get, tonight. I'll call it tonight just because hopefully we'll go to sleep at the end of it before we meet again. So anyway, these will be techniques that I don't even know what they look like yet, that have to do with once you go home, you can at least use some of them are meant to be used here, like the one-time thing, and then some of them will be what you do when, like what you can do. I don't know if it's on a daily basis or a weekly basis. They'll let us know to continue the activations of the luminary body and the ephemeral vehicle. And they also want to. They're talking to me live. They also want us to know that the other 3 sliders workshops will work with specifically learning how to do certain things with the luminary body and ephemeral vehicle, both, starting with the mental, then the emotional, physical, and then the spirit rasha body level. And there will be something called the disciplines of Kale, I believe, that go with these things that you can do as far as just habit patterns in your daily life that can facilitate the activation and the usage of your luminary body. And again, luminary body activation precedes the full Jade body, six-dimensional activation. So it is the first stage before one would go into that next level. At some point, there should be an increase in your conscious ability to contact or interact with, like the Wayas or whichever guardian groups that you choose, the 6 Buddha groups, whichever ones you feel most comfortable with, the Mashayahana councils, the Cosmea councils. I tend to work with the Mashayahana master councils, like when I want to go, somebody talk to me, please. I need help with this. There's all sorts you can go to. You can go to your Buddha team. You're in their Chris Buddhas, the 6 different ones that we've dealt with for a while now in various other workshops. Or, you can pick which councils you're most comfortable with, that you feel most resonance with. And I still go to the Mashayahana master councils. I don't know why that's mine. Some people like the Shiwas. I'm comfortable with Shiwas. But, and some like the Hewas, and et cetera. So you can, when we work with the techniques that have to do with the ephemeral vehicle and luminary body, you can still aim for the councils you're most comfortable working with, the ones that you've worked with before, and you can ask them if there's an appropriate up-step level that you should be adding, with your communication, with them, so that kind of thing. All right, let's see. Oh, yeah, and as we get progressive activation of the ephemeral body, of course, you'll get the clearing and healing of the corresponding Dana-Kohare karmic imprint of the 576 incarnates, and plus 8 probable selves, because the 8 probable selves are the extra ones you're picking up going across horizontally to get that luminary body activation. So you're basically getting activation of 8 probable selves and 576 incarnates. Talk about, it's like speed dialing, speed karma, speed karma clearing, right? All right, do we have any more at the end of this? Is this number 1? Oh no, again. Oh no, here we go again. All right, this was just to show you what we basically just said on that chart again that we've looked at. These are the expedited activations of the ephemeral vehicle luminary body for January 2011 FOL. So this is, it says it's January 1st. That will be this session, even though it's already the 2nd. And where it says January 2nd, that will be the later in the day session. So we're having these 1, 2, 3, and 4. They will occur in that wave that is coming through before we leave to go to sleep or wherever. And then this one and this one will be the activations coming in on the luminary body level, with the Mura and the Antura on the density 1 probable selves level to become a full density 1 incarnate Buddha being. So I think that explains what we're doing anyway. Let's see, is there anything in the bottom of that? I don't think I put anything more. Yeah, that just equals expedited initiations and activations, planetary and personal, during FOL. 2011, which is this one, excuse me. Oh goodness, I think we're actually done with the graph sequence. We are. We made it through. What time do we have? It's what? 17 minutes past 3.
10 minutes away.
Right. That's close to not fast bathroom break for those who need. Okay. All right. Yeah. Well, it's going to come through one way or the other, but if we want to catch it and breathe it, yeah. All right. If anybody needs to, use a restroom break or whatever, we've got about 10 minutes. We can be back here by like 3:30, right? Because 3:33 is when the wave comes through, and they're going to run something live for us to anchor the pillars and breathe them in. So it's kind of like a quick run to the bathroom. Everybody runs, so dear. We need about 20 more bathrooms. So we'll aim for 3:30 to be back here so we can run it at 3:33.
Hey guys, we're 3 or 4 minutes away, so we need to get settled down. And squashing it into the couple of minutes before we do what we're going to do, I don't know. There are a couple of announcements, so before you all push off to bed, the first is Regents Level 3 ordination is being offered tomorrow, or today I mean, 2 o'clock this afternoon, in this room I presume, like before. So if you'd like to accept Regents Level 3 ordination, it'll be 2 o'clock this afternoon in this room. Second announcement is Sunday, that's this afternoon, product table will be open between 12 and 3:30, yeah right. Please pick up canvas codes for those of you that ordered them by 3:30 at the latest, because they'll be closing and clearing all of the product related stuff. And there's a big thank you and smiley at the bottom.
What time? What time's dinner at again?
Dinner, for those who want to socialize in the 30 minutes or so of aperitifs, soft drinks or an Indian kind of sangria alcoholic adventure will be available. I had nothing to do with it. 7:30 is kickoff, off kick. 8 o'clock-ish is when the food will start to float across the room. And I think somewhere after that, after you breathed on the fiery spices, Darlene will talk about the trip to India and show you some photographs. Okay.
So that was 7:30? So it was 7:30? 7:30. Alrighty. Okay, so 7:30 begins the Indian thingy. Anyway, alrighty. What they've showed me, as far as the activations that are beginning now, I will describe to you what they've showed me. There'll be a certain point during this process where they will ask us to assist, those of us who would like to, in bringing the 4 Tarakiti Dara pillar activations in, the density 1 through 4, in. They're showing me the sequence of how this is going to work, and they're saying right now I can describe to you what they've showed me, and if I'm looking strangely over here, that's where I'm seeing it. So it's like where I have my visual notes that they gave me out when we were outside. But the thing that surprised me is these pillars are going to activate through a Mayasan, which is connected with the Mayaka River State Park. That's not too, like just about 7 miles, I think, isn't it, up there outside of Sarasota? Yeah, due east of I-75, where we were guided to buy our home. They're actually going to come up through the through the grids over in Mayaka, and they're going to loop through the grid activations they already have there in our house and in another house that is up there that is under Azurite Protectorate. And from there, they're going to ask us when that reaches a critical mass of frequency. I'm wondering how all of our animals are going to fare through this, actually. Oh boy, look out, kitties. Here it comes. Kitties, chickens, chinchillas, oh boy. Well, I should be used to it by now anyway. But once it reaches a critical mass in the grids there, they're going to, it's already starting, but it's just beginning, the first level of the Dara. The Tarakiti Dara. They're going to piggyback the Dankiti levels with them. So you'll get the Tarakiti Dara level, like the first level, and then you'll get the Dankiti rides on that. And then you'll get the next level of the Tarakiti Dara, and the next level of the Dankiti rides on that. So they're all actually going to come in at once. And the planetary, the Tarakiti level ones, will anchor and activate, but the Dankiti level of them will just, it will initiate, but it won't fully activate until the things we do tomorrow to bring it more, online in our bodies. Gives our bodies a bit of time to adjust to the fact that the activation has begun, the initiation has begun. But they're going to ask us when it hits critical mass over there. And it's interesting because I'm almost like having a video cam over here in my etheric field where I can see the houses right now, and I can see the one house has the place we are leasing, as opposed to have purchased, has a big pond, or not a huge pond, but a pond, and I'm seeing this mist start over the pond, and I've seen that before, where it almost gets translucent across the pond, and you can almost see through the trees there and into a mason. It's an interesting effect. So I'm watching this almost like on a video cam right over here, and observing that. When that hits a critical mass, it's all okay. It links into our swimming pool at the other house. It's about 2 miles away, I think. It's about 2 miles, about a 5-minute ride. And it will link to the swimming pool. When they show me a certain level of activation, they're going to ask us to just breathe from there, and just imagine like the pond and the swimming pool, if you don't have any visual reference, and just like inhale it in to over here. And particularly if you have an image of Siesta Key Beach in your head, if you've been there before with us, the white sand and the kind of ocean. And at night, you can visualize it at night, or like in the morning before it gets light, like it is now, and just kind of breathe it over. It's going to be a mist that we breathe over, and then they're going to have us assist in pushing, adding some amp push to it, and we're going to arc it over to Roatan, where we brought the first Cosmea flame pillar, the 1/3 Cosmea flame down, and that'll activate the Mayan matrix over there, the Mayan mother matrix with the three places, and then it's going to arc back on its own into the gravitron, and it's going to run the set of 4 of them in the gravitron, and there's going to be something really neat that happens at the poles, the north and south poles, that creates this neat blanket around the planet, and it's going to come through the air, and then they're going to teach us right at the end how to begin breathing this into our bodies. So this is what they're showing me actually as we go. They showed me a little bit outside. So, all right, now let me watch the fog a little bit. Just amp your fields a little bit with the Rasha Ira Christ are now. Oh, cool. Oh, this is neat. All right. When I first started to see it, I was seeing just a little bit of kind of like not mist, but with no color over the pond. And what I'm seeing now is I've never been to the Mayaka Lake yet, which is like if you kept walking back on the leased property that we're staying at up there. If you kept walking back to the end of the property, you'd end up walking into the Mayaka River State Park because it directly borders it, and Mayaka Lake is back there, and that has a direct connection into a Mayasan portals in Aurora Earth. And what I'm seeing now, even though I haven't seen the what's in the state park yet, I'm seeing like a larger lake thing that has this. It first looked like it glowed like a purpley red, reddish purple color, a thick mist that kind of grew into a pillar that tapers off and you can't see where it goes to. But that mist is like spreading, and it's spreading through the trees, and I can see it over the pond on the leased property now, and it's geez, I'm trying to estimate about how high up it is, because it's actually covering the entire pond and kind of swirling, some of it clockwise, some of it counterclockwise. And it just goes up to where you can't see where it disappears. And it's kind of moving through the whole house and under the grids and everything. And I'm not seeing the grid connections. Okay, they said that's because it's on security clearance. They're blocking that part, okay? That links the pond at that one address to the house that Asan and I own that has the swimming pool inside. And I'm seeing the mist come up from the bottom, oh neat, of the swimming pool and fill the swimming pool, and now it's all over the swimming pool and going from the swimming pool up to the ceiling and going out through the ceiling to a point where I can't see. And it's interesting because it's swirling like with a clockwise and a counterclockwise motion simultaneously, like one part of it going one way, one the other. And it's getting more and more of a violet color where it started out as kind of like a reddish violet. It's losing the red tones and getting more and more of a like ultraviolet color. Okay? They're going to say when. When they say when, they're just going to have you imagine those three bodies of water: a lake, a pond, and an inside swimming pool that have this glowing ultraviolet mist. It's going ultraviolet now. And just try to inhale the mist over here. Okay, we can start with it. Just inhale to the Azure, and then on the exhale, point it toward the image of Siesta Key Beach. And let's do several breaths like that. Pull it in. Push it over. They said you may start feeling a bit of heat coming into your fields just from the ultraviolet. In. And over. And they're asking us to now just send an amplification field over by we're going to take an inhale breath from the orb, the Asayas orb reservoir down in Earth core, directly up our central vertical column. Hold it at the Azure. And then we're going to exhale it over to Siesta Key. Okay. Now I can just rest peacefully for a moment and just imagine over at Siesta Key there is this large cloud of ultraviolet mist forming, and part of it's like in the ground through the sand, and not just in the sand but going through the water. It's like a large orb of ultraviolet mist that's forming. Imagine that there's some clouds swirling above it now too, because the clouds are reacting to its presence. And in a moment or two, it's going to make a leap arc. The beloveds are going to do that push from, and Siesta Key, remember, is the Grual, which is was original Mente Gate 2. And this is interesting because they're going to send this through. Oh, wonderful! This is going to block the pulsing from the fallen Amente gates through the density 1 level. So it will at least block the D1, 2, 3 level from the D2 Grual center point. Okay, so just imagine that purple cloud orb is moving down into the ocean, into the water, under the water, and down to the point that is the Grual point that's off the coast of Siesta Key in the Gulf of Mexico. And is entering the crystallization point that is the Cathara Center 2 on the planetary grid, so Mente Gate 2. And it will form a transmutation barrier there that will rapidly transmute with the 4-pillar strength the reverse currents coming through the fallen Mente gates, or Mente Gate 2. And in a moment, it's going to arc from there over into the Cosmea Pillar 1, Cosmea Flame 1, that we activated in the last workshop during the Mexico cruise in Roatan, when we went to Roatan. So, all right, I'm observing it. Oh, it's starting to sparkle with silver in it too. Alrighty. Oh, there it goes. Okay, it just arced over to the Roatan flame, Cosmea flame, and the violet color, ultraviolet, turned to like ultraviolet sparkles mixed with silver sparkles. So now it's sparkling. Okay. I'm observing now, and it's really quickly doing the triangulation with the grid site at Cozumel, and the other one at, what was the name of the other place? Anyway, yeah, the 3 places we went to, I can never remember the names of them, especially when they're in Spanish. Cosumaya, that was the other one, Cosumaya. So it's running right now in the Mayan Mother Matrix, and in a moment, it's going to arc from there right into Earth's core. And they said when this does this, you might feel a little snap feeling down in Earth's core, and it's going to go into Earth's core at the point where the gravitron reverse vortices from the MetNet field. It's going to arc into that and then spiral both up and down through the gravitron, running that violet sparkle, silver sparkle current and the 4 Dara levels of the blend wave through the graviton. So that's getting ready to do that. It hasn't quite arced from the Mother Maya complexes over in, on the coast of Mexico area there. It's getting ready to, oh neat, they all just lit up like pyramids. Now they each have this like white fire coming out of the top of them. Interesting. There they go. Wow, it looks like it's in slow motion from the 3 points of those 3 pyramids. It arced up, and then it's like going down somewhere in the Gulf of Mexico, and the point where the gravitron connects into the Gulf of Mexico. I'm not sure exactly what point that is, but it's like somewhere in the Gulf. I can see it go, and it's going down to Earth core. And it'll take a minute or two, or not a minute or two, but like a Guardian minute or two, which can be long or short, depending on the activation. There it goes, okay. Oh, that was gentle. It's now the current, that sparkly silver violet, is going both up and down the spirals of the gravitron, one of which travels up the central staff and one of which travels down the central staff of Earth. And it's what holds the unnatural pole tilt on the planet, the gravitron does. So it is going online. The 4 Dara levels of the Tarakiti and Dankini activation are going online with the gravitron now. And a little bit, it's going to reach a critical mass in the vortices, and there's going to be a flash way out. I'm going to see if they're going to give me miles. Okay, they said about 6 miles out in the atmosphere, and I have no idea what part of the atmosphere that is. There's going to be a flash in a little bit when the Tarakiti activation, Dara activation, 4 level of it, sparks on both of the poles out 6 miles out from the Earth's crust. Okay. I can see them glowing now, the spots on the ends of the gravitron glowing, so it must be getting ready. Yeah, there they go. It's like these slow motion, almost look like atomic bomb release things. Oh, cool. And now I'm seeing on both poles that counterclockwise spiraling thing again, but this beautiful field of sparkling silver and ultraviolet sparkles just swirling and forming like clouds that are following the contours of the Earth, and one from the North Pole, one from the South, coming up and creating this like protection field boundary, and they're going to meet at the equator before too long. Oh, neat. And it's creating like this swirling blanket of sparkly violet silver cosmea frequency all around the planet. Oh, cool. Okay. They just met at the equatorial line and did this kind of like starshine that spread out. All right. And now is the other part where we can, in a moment or two, they'll let us know when the saturation is enough. That blanket of protection that is coming in from the 4 levels of the Tarakiti Dara activations, pillar activations, will start to actually send a really faint, sparkling violet silver not even a wave, it's just kind of like a substance into the atomic structure of the air around us through the elemental kingdom. So at times you may actually pick up a little shimmer out of the corner of your eye of that, because it's actually going to permeate the air. It's not quite at critical mass yet, but it's starting. And it's going to be all over the planet. It'll be in particular concentrations, they said, in the Sarasota area because of the Gruol and because of the Amayasan connection, and also in like South America, Mexico and Roatan because of those activations. It will be strengthened again when we do the India thing through all that whole India matrix of grids, which will also affect Europe, they said. The India one will affect the European grids, will bring that amplified protection there. Right now the amplified protection is everywhere, but the sites that get activated actually amplify the amplification because they have specific grounding things activated. So the India trip and the Tahiti matrix, the Bora Bora matrix, they will see whether that can be done remote or not, but that will also be brought in 2012. But right now, they're saying there's enough saturation where this Tarakiti wave with its Dankiti wave undertow is, in the 4 levels of it, are now circulating, and they are literally circulating in the space between the molecules in the air. So we can just breathe them in if we want. And imagine we are breathing in those sparkly ultraviolet and silver sparkle from the spaces between the molecules in the air, and just breathe them in and feel them go through every atom in your body as a cleansing and protection field, amplifying protection from the Fala Mente gates pulsing. If you have any area in your body that hurts, that may be being amplified by the pulsing from the Fala Mente gates, just remember, the air now carries the protection frequency, so you can literally breathe it in with your physical body and then send it with the exhale to those areas that hurt, and see it build up in a beautiful sparkling violet and silver cloud around the areas that hurt, and then breathe it through all of the muscles, tendons, joints, whatever it is that's hurting. And feel the release of the pain as it releases and just dissipates. Some conditions are more solidified and crystallized than others, painful ones. You can use this when you go to sleep tonight or at any time. You can breathe in this protection wave, the Dara protection wave, the Tarakiti Dara protection wave. As you do this, it is bringing more and more of the Tarakiti, but also the Dankiti coding, Dara coding, into active membrane. And before we go, they're asking us to do one little thing I think might have something to do with something we're going to do tomorrow. They said now that this frequency, which is part of the Cosmea flame frequencies, now that it is running through the spaces between molecules of air, try to use your palms for a moment and just feel the air a little. And see if you can sense a little bit of almost like a magnetic stickiness, just a little, that you can almost feel a little tug on your etheric body. You can play with that when you get home, just literally just feeling the air in front of you. I can feel little streamers, just little magnet, you just wanting to stick, and then they go and let go. It's a neat feeling. So they said you can play with that if you like, tonight, when you go to sleep. And it'll be a prelude for the activation levels of the Dankini that will be set in motion when we meet again. And when we meet again, will be about 3 o'clock, because we have from 3 to 6:30-ish, because 7:30 is the dinner. So this will be the wrap up for this session, and we'll see you again at 3. I hope you are enjoying this. I hope you can feel the protection field, because I felt it, and finally, even the 4 Advil didn't work when I took them earlier, but that just released the crystallization I was feeling building around my Cathara 6 center and going into my spine. It just went, ooh, finally, and relaxed. Wow, that's new. I could have used that a month ago. So I'm just curious, how many people felt that, the frequencies of that, the protection wave? Oh, cool, good. Because sometimes it takes a while, and for people to move with it, and before they actually feel it. That was a good show of hands for, for a pillar anchoring. Well, anyway, I appreciate your patience on time and flexibility with time. I hope you've enjoyed this evening's, whatever it is, morning session, and see you later. And Happy New Year, by the way. Forgot to say that. Okay. Nighty-night.
Hello. Good afternoon. I hope for those of you who might have been suffering from the things that Ash and I have done, that's the grab in the back, has eased since yesterday or this morning. There are sure signs anyway that that's fading away, which is a joy. Okay, well, when you see me here on my own, you probably don't need me to tell you what's going on. So I won't. The plan is, as usual under pressure, and often when we're getting techniques in before a deadline, physical deadline that we can't move around, is we have the first part of the techniques that we have to do in regard to the Dan Katie awakening. Ash is finishing off what will either be 1 long tech or 2 which are coupled, and we're thinking that she'll be through with that by around 5 o'clock. So we'll do this work together, and then as usual I'll toddle off, pick up the hard copies, make sure that they're transferred to the copying department here at the hotel, because there won't be too many pages, so we don't have to send anyone Kinko's at the 11th hour. The chart packs from yesterday or today, the 29 pages, are all available now, and they'll be distributed once we finish this. Well, thank you all. So, are we pretty sure everyone's in? I don't want to start until they are. There's just one thing I think I need to point out that Ash mentioned to me, somewhere buried in this, which I haven't actually read. So, the usual situation, we'll try and get it right in one take. But there's a reference, I think, to a ripple breath somewhere. And the ripple breath is connected to expanding the Cosmea body, or for people that don't necessarily remember what that terminology means, and be assured that not everyone that comes to workshops remember every damn definition of every word we use. It amounts to a 60-foot diameter orb. So what you're supposed to be doing when we're playing with these breaths, the ripple breaths, is imagine that the effect of your breath is rippling out, okay, to a 60-foot diameter orb all around you. It's a bit like an atomic breath. It's very strong, but there are waves of energy that you're pushing out on the breath, right? So when you hear me refer to the ripple breath, wherever it is in here, I don't know, but that's what it's supposed to mean. So just intend that, you're getting this kind of powerful, radiating wave moving out through your field to about 60 feet. Okay. So then we'll get this done. We'll go and get Ash. We'll be back soon after 5, so don't go too far away. And we'll get done in time. I think that the two remaining activations are going to have to be done live. All right. So. before we proceed, would you take a few breaths to activate your Christ-Star vehicle? Rasha Era Christ-Star now. Rasha Era Christ-Star now. Rasha Era Christ-Star now. So this is the Dankiti awakening, the Dara 1. It concerns the phases of density fulfillment 1 through 4. This is activating the Dankiti membrane, technique 1, calling the flame of Cosmea. So begin by inhaling a spark of aqua blue light from the Azure upward to a point directly above your head on the outer surface of your Jade Cosmea orb body, which is about 60 feet in diameter around your physical body. Inhale a spark of aqua blue light from the Azure upward to a point directly above your head on the outer surface of your Cosmea orb body. Hold this breath for a moment, and then exhale slowly and firmly downward, using the exhale breath to draw the aqua blue spark back downward through your central vertical current, through the Azure, and all the way down to the Arceus orb reservoir in Earth's core. Now just breathe normally and observe that a large spiraling pillar of aqua and violet sparkle currents, the Cosmea flame, descends downward from the upper point of your Jade Cosmea orb body, where the aqua blue spark had been, spiraling down through and around your physical body and downward into the Arceus orb reservoir in Earth's core. To accelerate the spiraling spin and increase the intensity of the Cosmea flame pillar, inhale upward from the Azure to the spark point at the top of your Jade Cosmea orb body, using the final part of the inhale breath to draw more quantum of pure source consciousness from the spark point inward and downward through the center of the spiraling Cosmea flame pillar and into your Azure. I'll repeat that. So accelerating the spiraling spin, increasing the intensity of the Cosmea flame pillar, inhale upward from the Azure to the spark point at the top of your Jade Cosmea orb body, using the final part of the inhale breath to draw more quantum of pure source. Top up the breath now, inward and downward through the center of the spiraling Cosmea flame pillar and into your Azure. Exhale downward, using the exhale to firmly push the source consciousness stream down from your Azure and into the Arceus orb reservoir in Earth core. This forms a live, open stream of source consciousness running downward from the top of your Jade Cosmea orb body through the center of your Cosmea flame pillar and into the Earth core orb reservoir. Just breathe easy. And as you breathe easily, sense that each inhale draws a greater quantum source of source consciousness downward and into your Azure. And each exhale pushes the source consciousness stream downward from your Azure into the Earth core, Arceus orb reservoir. Consciously breathe this source stream for several moments and observe that the spiraling spin and energy intensity of the aqua-violet sparkle Cosmea flame pillar progressively accelerates and intensifies. Just take a few moments and several breaths to do this. Inhale source consciousness downward into your Azure. And on each exhale, push the source consciousness stream downward from your Azure into the Earth core, Arceus orb reservoir. Observe the spiraling spin and the intensification of the aqua-violet sparkle Cosmea flame pillar, accelerating and intensifying as you continue to breathe in this way. Take a few more breaths. Keep your attention focused on the increasing spin of the spiral. Energy intensity building. Aqua-violet sparkles. the focus of your attention, as the Cosmea flame pillar accelerates and intensifies. And when you feel ready, just move into gentle, easy, normal breathing. And we'll transition to the second part, or technique 2 of this whole group, which is activating the Dan-Kiti membrane, Dara 1, density phases 1 through 4. So, begin by observing the aquaviolet sparkle currents of the Cosmea flame pillar spiraling around you. Then inhale slowly and deeply, using the inhale breath to breathe in Cosmea flame fire from the pillar into your lungs first. Continue to draw the breath into your Azare from the lung area. And note that the large Cosmea flame pillar still remains spiraling around you. Now hold each Cosmea fire breath at the top of the inhale for a moment and sense the aquaviolet sparkle Cosmea fire gently spreading through your lungs and moving into your bloodstream to travel throughout your physical body. Now please take a half a dozen further breaths, observing the aquaviolet sparkle, the currents of the Cosmea flame pillar, spiraling around you, and then you're going to inhale slowly and deeply, using this breath to breathe the Cosmea flame fire from the pillar into your lungs, then into your Azare. Hold each in-breath at the top. Sense the aquaviolet sparkle Cosmea fire gently spreading through your lungs, moving into your bloodstream to travel throughout your physical body. And then repeat this 3 or 4 or 5 more times. Now, in just a few seconds, we will take one more exact same inhale breath, doing precisely the same thing, inhaling the Cosmea flame fire into the lungs and then into the Azare, but this time I would like you to hold this breath. Top it up to build a little extra intensity, and then we're going to use a 12-point exhale, using the exhale breath to push the aquaviolet sparkle Cosmea fire from your Azare outward through the 12 Alarean chambers of your Jade Cosmea orb body. And do that now. And hold at the bottom of the exhale, and observe that when the Cosmea fire reaches the outer ends of the 12 Alarean chambers, that a white gold spark flares at the end of each of the 12 chambers, opening each chamber to direct flow of source consciousness from the God source consciousness field surrounding your Jade Cosmea body. Now, when you're ready, return to normal breathing. As you breathe normally, just expand your mental attention as best you're able, outward to the outer skin of your Jade Cosmea orb body. Observe or intend that the outer skin of your Jade Cosmea orb body appears to be coated with a fluid layer of swirling pale gold and silver liquid light. And sense that beyond this liquid light coating, there is a moist, ethereal membrane which sparkles and shimmers in pale pastel rainbow colors and seems to be alive with electricity. This moist ethereal membrane, sparkling with pale pastel rainbow colors, is your personal density 6, Adashi 1, Dan-Kiti membrane, called the Daniluma membrane, which is the control membrane for the corresponding smaller levels of the Dan-Keti membranes on the density 5 through density 1 levels. The density 6 Daniluma Dan-Keti membrane is also the seat of consciousness for your Christ Star Buddha 6 transpersonal identity, your personal logos and identity level. While continuing to be aware or intending your awareness of the ethereal Daniluma Dan-Keti membrane skin surrounding your Jade Cosmea orb body, next, bring your attention back to your Azare, where the specific encryption codes for Dan-Keti membrane Dara 1 phases 1 through 4 were encoded during anchoring activation of the corresponding planetary Tara-Keti membrane. That was of this morning, earlier, in the early hours. Now, from the Azare point, inhale a 12-point inhale using the breath to draw an invisible stream of pure source consciousness inward through each of the 12 Alarean chamber lines. At the top of the inhale, consciously merge the 12 source streams within the center of the Azare and hold this breath at the top. Take a little top up, bring the 12 source streams together in the Azare, and then observe a small starburst of luminescent white light occurring at the merging point within the Azare. And when you're ready, exhale gently and return to normal breathing. Now, please move your attention to the aqua violet sparkle Cosmea flame pillar spiraling around you, all around you, everywhere, and take several inhale-exhale breaths, using each inhale to draw aqua violet sparkle Cosmea fire from the pillar into your lungs and bloodstream, and then using each exhale breath to expand the Cosmea fire outward and throughout your Jade Cosmea orb body sphere, filling it on the exhale with clouds of aqua violet sparkle Cosmea fire. Several of these, please. And as you're using these breaths, try to sense the concentration of Cosmea fire building up within your Jade Cosmea orb body. Just take a couple of more breaths like that. And then on the final exhale of your choosing, return to normal breathing, but return your attention to the small starburst of luminescent white light at the center of your Azare. With your attention, focus strongly upon the small starburst of luminescent white light in your Azare. Inhale firmly and deeply, using the inhale to draw up a current of Aseus orbs from the Aseus orb reservoir at Earth core. Do that now, and hold this breath at the top, allowing orb current to pool around the small starburst of luminescent white light in the Azare. Exhale, affirm. This is the pulse breath I was describing, the rippling breath. Exhale a firm pulse breath from the Azare and observe as a small starburst of luminescent white light combined with the Aseus orb currents pulses out from the Azare and fills your entire Jade Cosmea orb body with brilliant, silken, moist, luminescent white liquid light vapor. Inhale now into the Azare once more, a breath of aqua violet sparkle, Cosmea fire from the Cosmea flame pillar all around you, and observe that the Azare quickly sparks and pulses at the top of the inhale as Cosmea fire engages the point of luminescence in the Azure core. So inhale once more, breaths of aqua violet sparkle Cosmea fire, observing that the Azure sparks and pulses at the top of the inhale as the Cosmea fire engages the point of luminescence in the Azure core. Now exhale a gentle pulse breath from the Azure into your Jade Cosmea orb body, and then return to normal breathing. As you breathe gently, observe the activation of your Dan-Kiti membrane Dara 1 density phases 1 through 4. As you release this final pulse breath from the Azure briefly sparks and transfigures excuse me, into a small standing wave living flame called a flame of Dan-Kiti. This Dan-Kiti flame will remain lit from this day forward. As the Dan-Kiti flame ignites within the Azure, the last pulse breath exhale carries the encrypted codes of the Dan-Kiti membrane Dara 1 density phases 1 through 4 activation outward, filling the Jade Cosmea orb body with this activation encryption. As you continue now to breathe normally for a little while, the Dan-Kiti Dara encryption builds and replicates in quantum until it reaches critical mass, at which time the density 6 ethereal Dan-Illuma Dan-Kiti membrane skin surrounding your Jade Cosmea orb body sparks the codes, and this releases the currents of activation into the density 5 through density 1 levels of Dan-Kiti membrane corresponding to the codes themselves. Build focus or intention, and in this way observe a dance of inner light, sound, and light-sound pixelization occurring within various corresponding areas of your Jade Cosmea orb body, as the Dan-Kiti membrane Dara 1 density phases 1 through 4 codes progressively come to life within your Jade Cosmea body and within each atom and the spaces between the atoms of your physical body. So just for a few moments more, observe this dance of inner light, sound, and light-sound pixelization. The codes coming progressively to life within your Jade Cosmea body and within each atom and space between the atoms of your physical body. Your Dan-Kiti membrane, Dara 1, density phases 1 through 4 is now activated and will begin progressive sequential unfolding within your multidimensional anatomy. Your Azure will retain the configuration of the flame of Dan-Kiti until the final point of your Christ Star Adashi 1 ascension, whether through transfiguration or through the Bardoa choice. Ta'eja Intadoi. Indeed. So I will return as promised in as close to 35 minutes as we can. It won't be for want of trying. Whereupon we will begin to play with the activation of our cutely named ephemeral vehicle, or the luminary body. So please don't go far away. We'll be here just as soon after 5 as we possibly can be. And just bear with us, please, in the meantime. Thanks much.
Hello, everybody. Down to the 11th hour as usual. Right. Thank you for your patience. What's really neat is we just got the rest of the techniques off the, literally off the printer. The Beloveds wanted to give the first 4 of these techniques in written form, so you will have these, because these are what the Beloveds are calling the beginning of what are referred to as the powerhouse techniques. So, in this series, you've done 1 and 2, right? Yep. There's 3 and 4 that are also in written form, which means you get to take them home. And then 5 and 6 are going to be run live, where they bring it directly through me. Techniques 1 through 4 are for people who really want to advance their development with their spiritual enlightenment and their protection levels and their activation levels. The Beloveds are saying if you use the full sequence of 1, 2, 3, and 4 3 times a week and just make it an appointment, it will progressively amplify some of the things that are coming in on the last technique, which is kind of interesting. It's called the Mandalay transmission, and it has to do with direct transmission from your own density 6 level of Adashi Buddha self, where it kind of corresponds in traditional Buddhism. They talk about mandalas, and they're considered the deity cycles, where they're actually symbols that are given as forms of meditation that on the 3D level they look like symbols, but they are actually shields of information that progressively activate cycles of awareness and growth and development. The mandalay is what the Beloveds refer to it. They said that is actually what the word was originally, is a shield that literally is it holds the encryption of your Christ star level, your Adashi, your density 6 Adashi level of personal/transpersonal identity. And so everyone's is, well, not everyone's is different, because some of you may be out of the same, the same Adashi master at that level. But it is a transmission of progressive information in cycles that follows the Dankiti layers, that once that transmission is anchored in your shield, there are progressive levels of technique that will be given, some of them on the outer, but they begin a cycle of direct inner revelation between you and the rest of your cosmic family that you are connected to as an incarnate. So that transmission will be given at the end. What we have to do before that, there are 2 more of the written techniques. We have, I'll just read down the list of what we've done so far. Where's the end piece?
On the back.
On the back. Yes. Okay. So basically, these activation cycle is called the Dankiti Awakening Dara 1 and the Luminary. Now, we've done Technique 1, calling the flame of Cosmea. We've done Technique 2, activating the Dankiti membrane, the Dara 1 density phases 1 through 4. The next one, Technique 3, is activating the Mura Dankini and the Antura Dankini codes. They're the ones going across on that chart on the horizontal level, and you have to have a series of the 3 of those in order to activate the luminary body. So they've given us those activations early so that we could do this. Technique 4 is birthing the density 1 ephemeral vehicle and luminary body, which is really cool. When that was coming through, that was the last one that they just typeset with me. And this is really neat. So we will go through that, and you'll see that it is neat as you do it. Technique 5 is called the Eternal Cosmea, Body of Eternal Flame. That one will come through live, and it requires, these are all sequential, where you couldn't do number 4 if you hadn't done number 1, etc. So they are in a sequence. Number 5 is where we start to be able to play with the flames, and the stretchy flames that I'd mentioned that we just started to get some kind of activation with on the 21st of December. And this is going to be a technique that runs through that shows us how to begin to do that. So we'll have a little bit of time to play with the stretchy flames and see what that's about. And then the final technique is Technique 6, the Mandalay transmission, which is receiving your personal deity cycle from the Density 6 Dani Luma, Dankiti membrane, which is that level of yourself on the density 6 level. So it's very personalized to your whole incarnate family and your personal mission and how it connects with the other missions. So that will be a transmission. I don't know what that's going to look like, but once that is given, when you use the 4 written techniques at home and make a schedule of doing it if you can 3 times a week, you will progressively be given more information. Some might start in the dream state, some might start in just simple meditations. The simple meditations will involve a type of breathing that we will be able to do once Technique 4 is finished. and we will be able to then progressively bring in, each individual will be able to bring in more of their own awareness, own enlightenment, own Buddha levels by using this at home. So this is going to be like a foundation technique run for the adept level trainings. So that said, I think we'll get on with the readings of Technique 3 and Technique 4. And I will pass the mic to Asan for that because he's better at reading. My eyes don't move fast enough, and I lose my place really easy because my vision is going progressively. But I will run the live ones, 5 and 6. So here we go with Techniques 3 and 4. Yes. When we get to Technique 4, can somebody put up on board page 27?
Okay. Yeah, well, I'll have to ask.
Okay, 'cause I need to be able to point certain things out.
Page 27?
Yeah.
Before we begin, Jim, Ashley just said, can we be ready to show page 27 from last night's run,
When we start.
this morning's run, when we start Technique 4? This is your set here, Dan. There's a complete, put that in the back.
I need the flash drive to do that. It wouldn't let me copy last night. I was access denied. So the flash drive. Can somebody go up to your room again? Somebody that you always want.
I don't even know what it is.
It's on the table, between the computers, I think.
What's his
You know
name?
what? We can do it. I showed them yesterday, and I can just point
Right.
to it in the field.
Okay.
Yeah. And the wording's clear enough where, they'll get the idea. I just give them a little verbal remembrance. Can't put that.
Okay. For the purposes of the CD, we'll just have the CD with the text on it in your introduction, saying legally. They got it in front of the CD as well.
I don't know. We'll do that later.
Right.
They're starting to run the thing.
Okay. Just take a couple of Christ Star activation breaths, just amplify your feels a little bit before we begin. And we continue now with Technique 3. Activating the Mura Dankini and Entura Dankini codes. So you please place your attention on the flame of Dankiti, the small standing wave living flame at the Azare that formed through the activation of the Dankiti membrane, that was in Technique 2. Also called to mind the aquaviolet sparkle currents of the Cosmea flame pillar, spiraling around you, emerging downward from the top of your Jade Cosmea orb, 60 feet in diameter around your physical body. Next, inhale slowly and deeply into the Azare, the Dan Kiti flame, using the inhale breath to breathe in aquaviolet sparkle, Cosmea flame fire, from the pillar into your lungs, bloodstream, and Azare Dan Kiti flame. Hold this breath at the top and observe that as the Cosmea fire currents merge with the Dankiti flame at the Azare, a starburst of silver violet white Aseus outer middle matter liquid light vapor hydrothermal radiation ignites within the Azare Dankiti flame. Now exhale slowly and gently, and observe that the silver violet white Aseus starburst at the Azare begins a cyclic rhythmic pulsing, sending pulses of luminescent silver white liquid light vapor outward to fill your Jade Cosmea orb body. Now breathe normally and observe that on each inhale breath, the Aseus starburst at the Azare Dankiti flame intensifies and brightens, and on each exhale, it releases another pulse of luminescent silver white liquid light vapor outward into your Jade Cosmea orb body. On each exhale pulse of the ASAES starburst, the specific encryption codes for the density 1, Mura-Dankini and Entura-Dankini-Dankiti membrane activations transmit outward into the Jade-Cosmea orb body. And note, these Dankini code encryptions were encoded during the anchoring activation of the corresponding planetary Tarakiti membrane on the morning of January 2nd, 2010. After several of these breaths, so we'll take a short pause whilst you continue with this breathing. Inhale, breathe the ASAES starburst at the Azure Dankiti flame. It intensifies and brightens, and on each exhale, it releases another pulse of luminescent silver-white liquid light vapor outward into your Jade Cosmea orb body. Just take a few seconds more. At this point, the density 6 Daniluma-Dankiti membrane releases the corresponding currents of activation into the density 1 level of Dankiti membrane. The Mura-Dankini and the Entura-Dankini codes are now activated within your density 1 Dankiti membrane, allowing for birth of the density 1 ephemeral vehicle and corresponding luminary body. Observe as your Jade Cosmea orb body progressively fills with the brilliant, silken, moist, luminescent white liquid light vapor of the ASAES outer middle matter as you continue now to breathe normally.
And before we go into that, I just want to point out certain areas in the anatomy since we don't have the picture.
Okay. A little addition from Asher since we can't get access to the graph very easily.
Alrighty. Usually I would have the one diagram up that showed the placement of the physical body in relation to the luminary body. We saw a diagram yesterday on page 27, but we don't have it in the thing. We'd have to rescan it all over the place, and we're running short on time. So it is simply where you have the physical body here, then about from the knees would be the feet of where your luminary body, once it births, would be activated. And there's the ephemeral capsule, that vehicle capsule that goes around. It forms an egg shape around the two bodies, and around that is a large sphere that will form. That is the eternal body, the pure consciousness body. So these are the parts of anatomy that we are going to be dealing with in Technique 4. And I think that's really the only one. In fact, when you get your chart packs on that page 27, there's a bunch of information that is just from the old chart that actually you don't need to look at, even the fire chamber lines. All right, just this is a note I wanted to make on that chart, where it shows the fire chamber lines. That was from an old diagram that we just tried to put the new information on really quickly. So you can ignore the fire chamber lines, because honestly on page 27, the fire chamber 12 should be the one that's running vertically up and down. All right, so you can ignore the fire chamber lines as marked on that page, and all of the other information that pertained to the graph that was from another series that we just needed the body shapes and the shapes of the fields for. Okay, so I just wanted to remind you that we are going to be activating the luminary body, the ephemeral vehicle capsule that goes with it, and the eternal body on the density 1 level, which means it will be bringing online and into full activation your set of 12 probable selves for a full incarnate. So you will become the Bud incarnate, or the Buddha level 1 incarnate, through this process. And you'll also have a very interesting aspect of yourself to play with from this point forth. So that said, let us go back to Technique 4.
Okay. And Technique 4 concerns the birthing of the density 1 ephemeral vehicle and the luminary body. We begin by placing your attention on the cyclic rhythmic pulsing of the silver violet white ASAES starburst at the Azure Dankiti flame, while retaining awareness of the luminescent white liquid light vapor that fills your Jade Cosmea orb body. Now inhale aqua violet sparkle Cosmea flame fire from the Cosmea flame pillar swirling around you. Bring it into the Azure starburst, and then exhale a 12-point exhale outward through your 12 Alarian chambers and observe that the luminescent white liquid light fills your Jade Cosmea orb body and begins to quiver and electrify, creating a sensation of rapid oscillation throughout your Jade Cosmea orb body and running into every atom of your physical body. That done, return to normal breathing. And with your attention now focused upon the Azure starburst and Kiti flame, slowly and firmly inhale, using this breath to steadily draw, contract the luminescent white liquid light vapor in your Jade Cosmea orb body inward in the direction of your physical body. When you sense that this luminescence has contracted inward to about a 20-foot diameter around your body, gently exhale at that point and release this luminescence field and breathe normally as you observe it forming a 20-foot diameter white liquid light vapor luminescent sphere of Aseus matter around your physical body within the center of your Jade Cosmea orb body. Now inhale Cosmea flame fire from the Cosmea flame pillar around you into the Azure starburst and Kiti flame. Hold this inhale for a moment at the top and then exhale a pulse breath, remember what we said about that one earlier, outward into the 20-foot luminescent sphere. And when you've done that, return to normal breathing and observe that the luminescent sphere begins to crystallize into an invisible sphere of crystalline energy forming the density 1 eternal vehicle pure source consciousness body, and the white liquid light vapor, Aseus matter luminescence field, further contracts inward towards the physical body, forming the egg-shaped point-down ephemeral vehicle capsule surrounding the physical body, inside of the invisible crystalline sphere of the 20-foot diameter eternal vehicle. Next, inhale a cloud of luminescence from the ephemeral vehicle capsule into the Azure starburst and Kiti flame, then hold at the top of the inhale and observe several rapid pulses of luminescence within the Azure. Next, exhale firmly, using the breath to push a replica of the luminescent Azure starburst and Kiti flame downward into the Carinadis seal in the central vertical current, directly inward and backward from the base of the breastbone. And we continue by inhaling slowly from the Carinadis seal back into the Azure, drawing a stream of luminescence current with the inhale, and then forcefully exhale upward from the Azure to a point about 20 feet above your head at the top of your ephemeral vehicle. And then return to normal breathing and observe that a luminescent white liquid light vapor, Aseus outer middle matter replica of your physical body, has burst into form within your ephemeral vehicle capsule. This is your luminary body, the transharmonic, double three-dimensional projection body through which you may engage the territories of the Aurora Continuum. Now, please take a final inhale breath of the Cosmea fire from the pillar into your Azure Dan Kiti flame, and then exhale forcefully upward, sending a stream of Dan Kiti flame current upwards from your Azure and into the Azure of your luminary body. And return to normal breathing. Observe that your luminary has now sparked into life upon receiving the stream of Dan Kiti. Observe as your luminary opens its eyes, smiles, and then gently sends a return stream of Dan Kiti current back down to your Azure, opening the Dan Kiti breathing tube between your temporal vehicle, physical body, your ephemeral vehicle, luminary body, and your eternal vehicle, source consciousness body. To engage the progressive healing, protection, and enlightenment potentials of your Identity 6, Dani Luma Dan Kiti, practice breathing the stream of Dan Kiti between your physical body and your luminary as much as possible. You are now ready to engage the luminary training applications of the Christ Adashi Adept Cosmea Councils. Ta Asia Inta Doe. Ta Asia Enta Doi. Ta Asia Enta Doi.
Now, before we go into Technique 5 and Technique 6, let's just spend a few moments really sensing the presence of our luminary. Even though it's called the luminary body, the beloveds refer to it as your luminary. And they may say, I met you in luminary. It means I met you in your luminary body, those kind of things. So try to feel the presence of that body that you just brought to life. The more we work with these techniques, those 4 especially, the more real this is going to feel to you, and the more you'll be able to consciously transfer your awareness into it. Also, the more it will be able to transfer the awareness it has access to you. There are going to be some interesting things through the next 3 Sliders workshops that we'll learn to do with our luminary bodies. But for now, and we'll learn a little bit of that in Technique 5, or is it 6? Where'd they go? I went 4, 6. There we go. That's 3. That's 4. And that's... Okay, yeah, okay, I want to see 4. Right. Okay, and this. So let's just breathe a little bit of the Dankini stream between the physical body and the Azure point of our luminary body. And again, the luminary body, or our luminary, it'll be the same height as we are, but its feet will be positioned where our knees are. So its head is, quite a bit above our own head in that regard. So just try to sense its presence there. Try to sense in your knees the bottoms of its feet, as if it's standing where your knees are. And if you're sitting, it's actually standing in front of you at the moment, because we created it standing. So it's as if it's standing on your knees. Try to sense it in front of you. What we're going to do and this is the one they're running live now, this one is the Eternal Cosmea Body of Eternal Flame. What they're going to have us do now, even though we can breathe through the central current, even though we're sitting and it's standing at the moment, they're going to ask us to stand up and stand where it is. So where your knees are now, just gently stand up and put your physical body vertically standing there. And try to feel as if you just got up and stood into your luminary body. Its feet are still at your knees. Try to feel the opening of the Dankini stream, the breathing tube between the two. It'll be more fully noticeable when it's in the same position as you are, when you're both standing or both sitting. They're going to ask for a moment if you try to move a part of your awareness from being centered in your head upward with an inhale into the Azure and then into the head behind the eyes of your luminary body. Try to split your focus of attention. Try to feel the eyes of your luminary body, and they are open. Try to sense the feeling of those open eyes, even if you can't see out of them yet. There will be a time when you can. This technique has to do with grounding the luminary, or bringing it directly into the atomic structure of the physical body. When that process begins, you begin to where you can move it up, out, move it over, across the room, send it elsewhere, those kind of things. But it also begins the process of transfiguration of the atomic structure within your etheric body. So in that layer of surrounding the physical body and surrounding all the organs that we referred to in the Gathara classes as the etheric body level, the D1 etheric body level. Once we bring the luminary in to register with the physical body form, it will permanently alter the function of the etheric body. There is a barrier in the etheric body right now that carries still a portion of the genetic distortions that are caused by the planetary fields. When we begin to bring in our luminary into physical register with our physical bodies, it will progressively transmute that and restore that boundary, which progressively makes the physical atomic structure more and more able to transmute into Shalaya light so it can undergo full transfiguration. So this is a next step in the healing of the physical body, as well as bringing a next step in energizing the physical body, where we can begin to replenish some of its depleted energies and also build an even stronger protection field from the pulses coming in from the net, from the Metatronic net. So as we're standing with our luminary with its feet at our knees, they're asking us to inhale from the Dankini flame at the Azure, do a replica flame inhale upward into the Azure of our luminary. Hold for a moment up there, and there will be a little spark release that goes into the pineal of the luminary. And when you sense that little, it's like a little spark that happens. When you sense that, use a slow, gentle exhale. And as you exhale, you're bringing the luminary body down with you into register with the physical, just slowly. Try to feel the sensation of that between matter coming down into full register with your physical body. It is a replica of your physical body. It's not like a perfected version that looks different than you, that's thinner or fatter or stronger or whatever. It is a replica of you as you are right now. Try to feel the sensation of the two bodies in one. They're saying, now move the left leg just a little bit to the right. Just step slightly to the right, or left actually with your, I'm doing left, yeah. Left first, left first. They're saying step to the left first and feel the two legs move. And then step back toward the right and feel the left leg come back with the two legs. If you do a little bit of the side to side, you might start to feel like, whoops, that leg didn't catch up with that leg, or you might feel like you have four. like one moves a little slower than the other. Yeah, what I'm getting is my luminary leg isn't moving as fast, so it's got like two going. I said, try taking just a little step, just a tiny step forward, and they said doesn't matter which leg, just take a step forward and try to feel what the luminary is doing. And if you feel like you're losing your balance, that's because the two neurological structures are harmonizing with each other. And take a step back. Then, oh boy, this one's going to be weird. They're saying take a tiny step backward. I'd hold on to my chair if I were there, right? And feel that. I'm getting a really funny wobble. I don't know if anybody else is feeling that, right? Right. And then just go back into simple standing without wobbling position. They're saying now just try the arms, where just normally raise one of your arms, like not this way where you hit your neighbor, but like, yeah, straight up over your head. And feel if the arm of your luminary went with you, or if it stayed to the side. Mine stayed to the side for some reason. It's like, whoops, okay. Go back down and get it. They said if you're feeling that, where your physical body is moving one way and the luminary is not keeping up, it takes time for that, for the two to mesh. And they're saying, like, if you raised your hand and it was supposed to and it didn't, bring your hand back down and inhale into the Azure and the Dankini flame and breathe a bit of flame down through the arm channels and feel it go into the luminary and your physical arm. And then try more slowly to make the movement with the two arms together again, and it should stick. Yeah, much better. Same with the legs, where if you find when you're walking, even after we're finished with the techniques and stuff today, and we're going to dinner, and you find that you're feeling wobbly, it's because you will be keeping your luminary in with you right now until the two systems get used to each other, and then we'll learn to project them up and out again. but it needs to harmonize. You just gave birth to a portion of yourself, a vehicle through which you're not just confined anymore to this particular set of planes that we call three-dimensional Earth. This is a transharmonic body. So as the two bodies mesh, it'll be interesting. If anybody does like Tai Chi or anything, it could be really interesting to really try to get them synchronized, where you're trying to get the movements, or dance, those kind of things. It could be very interesting to bring the two online. And the more you can do that to harmonize those two bodies, the more fully the DNA imprint will activate in both, and the more fully the memory and perceptual capacity of both will be, which means your luminary level of consciousness will have much clearer vision and mobility here. But it also means when you take your luminary consciousness out into a projection, you will have that strong base of connection, and you will be able to do things and see things elsewhere that will be able to be perceived by your awareness here, instead of that blank, where'd it go, I don't know, it projected someplace and comes back and I don't remember. So the beginning of working with our luminary body is first harmonizing the two of them, knowing it can go up, and it probably will a lot, where if you ignore it for a while, you'll find that its feet are at your knees again, and you can just breathe it back down and again. And what they're asking us to do now, this is to ignite the eternal flame, the Cosmea flame, within the etheric body through the luminary body. So we can sit back down all together with your luminary body this time. And now, because you're both sitting and you're both in register, your central vertical column is in line. They're both in line with each other. Your breathing tube is in line. For a moment, try to raise one of the hands of your luminary body like this without moving the physical, and see if you can sense the sensation of it. You can play with this at home, and eventually you'll be able to feel the two of them. You may have times when you wake up at night and you think you're laying in one position, and you find your physical body is actually laying in another, because you were more focused in your luminary body and it decided to roll over to the left instead of sleep on its back or whatever. So you will find these type of experiences progressively as you work with the luminary body. But for now, for the technique 5, can't talk, activation, I think my luminary mouth and my mouth are not quite in sync with each other. Oh, that was weird. This is really strange. Are we ready? No. Okay. Alrighty. All right. Let's, both ourselves here and our luminary body selves, consciousness, call to mind again the Cosmea flame pillar that is still circling around us, spiraling around us, coming down from above. And next, let's inhale. When we're doing the action now, it will be with both bodies, all right, with the luminary body inside of your body and your body, right? So inhale into the Azure Dankiri flame. And then we'll exhale down into the orb reservoir at Earth's core. Hold at the bottom of the exhale for a moment. Then we're going to bring a huge pillar that's bigger than our, as big as the Cosmea flame pillar around us, upward with the next inhale of orbs. Okay, orb, pillar up. Up to the Azure level. And then we're going to use the exhale breath to push it up further, all the way up to the top of our Jade body orb. Try to sense the orb currents, the millions of various size orbs actually are spiraling around now, going upward, while we have the Cosmea flame spirals going downward. So now we've got not just an incoming current, but now we've got the circulation, the backflow, going back up to source. They're saying next to do a 2-point breath into the Azure and its flame. One, when we inhale, we'll pull a current down from above and also an orb current up from the Earth's core and have them meet at the Azure Dankiri flame. So inhale. And next, we'll exhale them on a horizontal plane, one going out forward, one coming out back through that chamber. We'll do another 2-point breath where we inhale top and bottom into the center, into the Azure. and we'll exhale 2 point, one going left, one going right, out those chambers. And just breathe normally for a moment. Now try to become aware of the sensation of your etheric body. The etheric blend with your luminary hasn't finished yet, so it would still feel like if you're aware of what your etheric body feels like. It sits about like an inch or so away from the skin. You can feel it from the skin. It actually goes in the skin. It's deeper than the skin level, and then comes out. Some people's are like an inch or two away. Some are just like an eighth to a quarter of an inch above the skin, where you can feel it. Try to sense that. It's around every part of your flesh, even on the internal organs. It would have an etheric body, casing like that. Try to sense that space. Try to sense within that space, right at the area between where that energy that usually looks like either a pale grayish or a pale bluish color. Try to sense that there's this red, or sometimes it just appears as black strip of energy that actually it has a pulse, a very deep, like droning pulse to it. That is a part of distortions that come from distortions in the karmic distortions in the Kiti membranes that we can now begin to clear and dissolve through merging with our luminary body. So trying to sense the etheric body part of ourselves. Now try to sense the luminary body, which isn't quite blended with the etheric body yet. We're going to do this, okay, this is interesting, they're showing me as we go. We're going to do, I'll narrate it first before we do it. We're going to do an interesting breath where we will inhale, and as we inhale, we'll get a sense for where that luminary body is. And the luminary body is like luminescent. It kind of looks like pearly white gossamer, but moist. It's an interesting kind of energy. But that luminescent energy in its bright whiteness will, when we inhale, we'll pull it into the etheric body so it saturates that blue or gray band of etheric body. And we can feel it going all the way, not just on the outside skin, but everywhere through our organs and our bones and all of that, the etheric body. So we're going to pull the luminary or the luminescence from the luminary into the etheric body when we inhale. And we'll inhale and hold. Let's do that now. And just hold and feel that beautiful bright white light coming in to heal and recharge the etheric body structure. Try to feel it running all through every atom and cell, every bone, every muscle. Then gently exhale and just leave it there. Don't push, just exhale. We began the flow of the luminescence into the etheric body. Let's take another one of those breaths and pull in more luminescence into the etheric body. Hold to let it build charge and pick up quantum of draw. And just gently exhale. Don't push anything. Next, we're going to bring the luminescence into our central nervous system. So just imagine, if you hold an image of, or just imagine all the circuitry of your central nervous system, that we're going to pull the beautiful white light luminescence into our central nervous system through every nerve in the entire body and brain. Okay, in. And just gently hold and try to feel it healing and moving through as if the beautiful white light is turning on through your entire nervous system. And then gently exhale and don't push anything. And just breathe normally for a little bit and try to sense what is occurring, because we've opened the flows between the etheric body and the luminary body. And the luminescence energy is flowing into the etheric body. And I'm getting a little buzzy sound right where that layer of disharmonic sound tones are that are between the skin and the etheric body. I'm feeling like a little buzzy sensation. The more that the luminescence comes in, the more it is buzzing. And I think the buzzing has to do with just transmuting it. It's almost like little pieces of it are just dissolving and coming off. And now they'd like us to call to mind. Remember a while back where we would turn on the shine when we did the purple rain that would come down through the Cosmea pillar, and then we would actually inhale and hold it in the Azurite and just push out through our whole body, and it would come out through through our atoms and the spaces between our atoms, like beautiful purple shine. They're going to ask us to do a turn on the shine, purple shine breath. So imagine as we inhale, we are bringing in, but this time from above over our head, the silver and purple sparkle energy of the original Cosmea purple rain currents, and bring them right into the Azure. And now as the luminescence white currents are coming into the etheric body, we're going to push outward through our entire body and etheric body into the luminary body, these beautiful purple rain currents. And turn on the shine. Oh, neat. And when the purple currents meet the luminescence, they give off this beautiful, like, aqua mist. I just saw this amazing aqua mist occur. And just breathe normally a little bit. Okay. All right, and they're showing me something. Okay, and now on this inhale, we're going to actually pull in our entire, remember that invisible but crystalline eternal vehicle that was around the ephemeral body and around our physical body, like out there, but not as large. It was a 20-foot diameter one. That's still there. Well, we're going to inhale and we're going to pull the whole thing in as if we're going to squash ourselves with it, and just for a moment squish ourselves up all into a little point where our Azure would be, and then just pop ourselves back out again on the exhale. So on the inhale, just pull inward. And hold. And exhale and pop it back out. And there'll be a ripple that moves through your body as your luminary body and your physical atomic body structure actually merge and blend. So now they are literally online with each other, and the neural networks are online with each other, the DNA, etc. Okay. The beloved said, we're going to do one thing. Well, we're going to kind of finish this, but then go right into the last technique, which is simply receiving the mandale. And the mandale, again, is the literal encryption field from your density 6 level of identity, which is transpersonal level of identity, your Buddha level 6, your Dani Luma level. And there are all sorts of lessons and awarenesses that have to do with each layer, from the density 1 layer all the way up to the density 6 layer. But we'll be given this as a shield that we'll describe in a moment. But in order to do technique 6, that one, we're going to do something with our luminary for a minute, and then when we're done with that, we're going to come back and bring our luminary back in, and then do a little bit of flame play before we're done. All right, so that's a little bit of exercise at the end of the technique sequence. So for now, in preparation for technique 6, try to feel again your luminary body with you. And we're going to inhale into both of the Azures, and it's sitting down with you now, right? When we exhale, we're actually going to push it vertically upwards, sitting in the lotus position with the legs kind of like this, lotus style, and have it sitting on our head. Now, when we're in a sitting position, the luminary body will hang out there unless we send it on a mission, or if some other part of us sends it on a mission to bring information back for us. If you look and you find it gone, know that some part of your own self sent it on a mission to go find information or healing currents or something, but it's there and you can call it back and it'll come. It's like, hello, where are you, self? Oh, here I am. Right? Sorry, I'm busy over on Aurora Earth or whatever. No, but it will come back. But it will go on journeys because the own higher levels of your own consciousness will stimulate it to bring back information that you need for your next learning and those kind of things for whatever is next for you on a personal level. Now that we have our luminary sitting on our head, try to feel it there with its eyes still open. Just see if you can get a little feel for seeing out of its eyes as if you're seeing from that far up over your own head. You might not at first, but the more you practice these techniques, the more you will seriously get where you feel the reality of both bodies. And it's when you feel the reality of them that you start to get serious mobility between both of them. But for now, we're going to move into the technique 6, which is the Mandalay transmission. This is a transmission of a shield of data, an encryption shield that belongs to you, that you are actually part of, that corresponds with the density 6 level of your Dankiri membrane and idea. An identity. I'm still having a hard time with my lips. All right. So we're going to receive through our luminary the anchoring of our mandalay. And our mandalay, we may start dreaming of symbols that are part of it, because if you would see it, it is like a two-dimensional version of the three-dimensional plus encryptions that are held within the density 6 level of our Dankiri membrane. And this is the beginning of a wonderful journey. It's referred to in Buddhism as the mandala, which is also sometimes known as the deity cycle, because they refer to deities in an objective, external form. But in the Maharata teachings about the bud states and about Mandalay, they are actually, you could consider them deities, but we don't look at our other incarnate selves, wherever they are, as deities that we bow down and worship. It's not that kind of deities. But they're aspects of our own consciousness that carry very, very intricate, let's say, personalities. Some may focus on beauty and grace and exploring those things. Some may focus on intellect and intelligence. So the deities are really about aspects of identity or aspects of self, different qualities and things like that. So when we bring in our Mandalay deity shield, it's not that we're bringing in a bunch of little godlets that we have to bow down to. It's that we are bringing in certain aspects of our own identity and our own higher identity that hold characteristics that are the most beneficial for us to begin moving with and working with right now to reach our next state of enlightenment and development and activation toward ascension. So it is literally a shield that, an encryption shield that will come down and anchor through the luminary, and you can't anchor one of these without having a luminary body. So this is an advancement in all of our technologies because we have not had the luminary body activation levels before. So our luminary will assist to anchor this, and when it does, it will stay with us as a shield that we're going to learn more about the Mandalay and how to use it, because there are very specific ways to use it to develop certain skills in energy movement and to solve certain issues, in your life pattern and that kind of thing. But for this workshop, this will culminate in the anchoring of that from your own Dali Luma level of identity and density 6. That's from your own Adashi Adept level. And we're going to do this by first getting in touch again. Try to feel the presence of your luminary body sitting lotus style on top of your head, where your breathing tubes are still lined up. Your central columns are still lined up. At the same time, call to mind again the large Cosmea flame pillar that is running from the top of your Ajay Cosmea body orb, which is the 60-foot diameter one, all the way down, and the orb currents that are running up, backflow from the earth core. Be aware of those things. Now if we we're going to take an inhale, and on this inhale, we're going to breathe in from our azure, but also the azure of our luminary body. So inhale into the 2 azures. Hold for a moment. And then try to sense the spark up at the way at the top of the jade body. And, all right, and exhale now gently. And as we exhale, that spark begins to spiral down through the Cosmea flame pillar. And as it's coming down, it spreads out and flattens into a disc. And it's still way up there. They're all still way up there. But it gets larger and larger as it's spiraling down. And eventually it will crest the top of the head of our luminary body. And you may feel a little like shudder tickle down your backbone when that occurs. And then it will slowly spinning. And it's actually, there's a clockwise and counterclockwise movement, so it's like two pancake shields, one going clockwise, one counterclockwise. And it's very, very intricate. Everybody's will be similar in structure with the center, the center domain and the 12 probability domains around it. These probability domains that you will see in this shield as it's coming down are actually your 12 probable selves that go with this incarnation, and you will be the center Buddha self in this cluster. So as it's moving down through the luminary body, imagine now that the shield is right between where the bottom of your luminary body is and your top of your head is. And imagine that it's expanding outward and outward to the 20-foot diameter of the eternal body, or the eternal vehicle that was 20 foot in diameter around us. So now we have the 20-foot diameter Mandalay shield. And now we're going to breathe our luminary back down in to register with our physical body, so it is sitting with us. And it will bring with it this Mandalay shield. So it's inhale in both azureas. And on the exhale, slowly bring your luminary down through into register with your physical body. Try to sense that big 20-foot disc coming with it. And when your tailbone and your luminary's tailbone are in register with each other, you'll find that this disc will come out from that area, from like the tailbone region, but it's on center with your central vertical column, and it is from there that it will span out in a 20-foot diameter. Now, once the Mandalay is activated, there are many things like are brought in. It is this is called initiated. There is an activation level that will the activation level of the Mandalay won't be given for, let me see, it has to do with the Terakiti, the planetary Terakiti level activations. It will be a couple of months before they come into full activation, but you can still use them and play with them a bit, they're saying. So this will be with you, this Mandalay will be with you, and it is through the luminary that you will be able to access information most pertinent to you at this time, where you will, while your luminary is sitting with you, in register with you, if you inhale into both of your azureas simultaneously, exhale halfway down to the tip of the tailbone, and then exhale the rest of the way out into the Mandalay shield. And just breathe normally and observe that certain parts of the Mandalay shield, as the luminescence from the luminary body spreads into it, will start to like vibrate. Some might start like spark colors, or you'll get maybe some of that pixelization effect of seeing like little square boxes and with sound attached to them. This will be the beginning of the activations of the Mandalay. They will teach us more about this probably in the next Sliders workshop, and maybe more than just one. But now that we have the Technique 6 activation done to the degree it can be, before we leave, they would like us to just have a little bit of play with our luminary body while we are still in register with our luminary body. Now, our luminary body has many capacities, and one of them has to do with moving energy. And we've played with flame body techniques before with the hands and those kind of things, and activating the healing hands and those kind of things. But this is another level of, of more, it was a more advanced level of frequencies, because the luminary body is composed of the Asayas frequencies and the Jade body frequencies. So it is the strongest, and part of it is the Cosmea current. So it is one of the strongest frequencies that can anchor on any manifest world. What they would like us just to begin to do, and this is funny because they started this, had no idea what it was connected to, on the 21st of December, when we just did a little gathering. We thought we were going to just do a small drum circle, but it turned out where they gave us a part of a technique that had to do with eternal flame hands and turning on flames in our hands. And they said that was just the beginning, and left it at that. And we never even recorded it because they didn't let us know we were even going to have a technique given that night. So it was like, show up, and it happened. So they're going to have us play a little bit with this, and this can be a bit fun. It's also fun to do with a partner, but it's easier if you're sitting in a circle and we don't have time to do that, where the person across from you, you get to start doing these energy interactions with, to both get the feel for how this energy moves. So probably in other workshops, we'll get that formation where we can do that. You can do it even after we leave here and go to the dinner tonight or whatever, or go home or whatever. You can play with this with a partner if you want to, or you can play with it with just yourselves. But they also said they're going to take it to one more notch than they did on the 21st, where they just started the hand activations, and that was kind of fun. And I don't remember the technique they used to do it, but now we have our luminary body in with us in our body, and our etheric body is now glowing with that luminescence. And also we still have the sparkly violet purple spark currents coming from the Cosmea flame. So as those currents are mingling, and this kind of really neat aqua-y blue vapor is coming around on the outer layer of the etheric bodies, where those two currents are meeting, they're going to have us do something now, and let me see what it is, that is going to bring start the flame activations. Okay, do what? All right, they're saying we're going to inhale, and when we do this, we're going to breathe simultaneously the Cosmea flame currents into the lungs, the bloodstream, into the azure, but also into the carinata seal at the same time. Right, that's the thing that's behind the breastbone, the base of the breastbone. So inhale, and then at the top of the inhale, bring what you inhaled into the carinata seal up and into the azure. Now hold for a moment there. And now on the exhale, we're going to split that frequency, that current, and send it down the arm channels and into the palm chakras. And next, from the palm chakras, we're going to inhale, but still at the azure now. Going to send another burst down the arm channels, through the palm chakras, and out through all the finger chakras. And don't forget the invisible thumb, the missing thumb. So 6 fingers. And now for a little bit, this is going to be hard to do with, let me see if I can put this in the holder. We're going to do a little bit of activations of the flames on the fingers, then the hands, and they're going to take it one step further than they did on the 21st. Okay, let's try that. All right, we're going to take, melting microphone here. There we go. All right, now we take one more breath of Cosmea flame into the azure. Hold for a moment, and when we exhale this time, we're going to pop out 6 little flames on each of the fingertips, including the invisible 6th finger, the thumb that's missing in our gene code. So exhale and pop the flames. Try to see if you can sense a bit of tingling at the tips of your fingers. And if you can't, here's where exercising and amplifying the energy starts to come in. where bring your hands together a little bit, but the fingers not quite touching. And start just moving them gently back and forth. See if you can feel an energy field between the fingertips. It's almost like a little magnetic field. Now inhale again and bring in more Cosmea flame. And send a burst down the arm channels into the palm chakras and out, where the two flames connect and actually go through each other. So it links the palms. And now move the palms in and out toward each other and see if you can feel that palm connection. See if you can build that. Now amplify this by calling to mind the beautiful luminescent white frequencies of your luminary body. And this time when we inhale, we're going to just bring in and fill the Azure flame up with the luminescence. And when we exhale, we're going to push that down the arm currents into the hands and the fingers and the flames. See if you can sense a difference in the strength and quality of the field between the fingertips, between the palms. Now when you breathe, now that this conduit is opened, it will continue to feed more of the luminescence into your etheric body, into your flames. With the flames, you can start to begin to stretch them, where if you'll notice, by focusing on, say, just take two of the same fingers, one on each hand, and start just playing with the little flame tips. And seeing what they do. They might try to push each other away the closer you get, or some might actually pull. It depends on which currents are running at the moment, and everybody's will be a little bit different as far as what your body was running. Try to feel a little fuzziness when you force them, when you push through that energy field and make them stick together. And try to see that you have now these little flames that actually go down to where the nail bed starts and come off the tips of your fingers, so it's not just little ones coming out the tips. It actually embraces from where the nail bed starts and comes in like an akasha-shaped flame off the tip of the fingers. Try to sense and see those. Try to play with them a little and see if you can see a fuzziness or a little bit of graininess that happens in the air in front, like if you're holding it close to your eyes where you can see them actually interacting. And then start to realize they like to stick together. The flames like to stick, and start stretching them. And see what they do. There's a stretch where you can stretch them like taffy. Some will be stronger than others. And then you can get all of them going like that, where you get all of the fingers, including the thumb you don't see, doing that. Where you get them together and then start stretching them and playing with them. Try to sense and see this energy. See the luminescence from it. Try to see the field and the graininess in the air. That will form. The more you play with this, the more you'll actually be able to see the consistency of this energy field that you're building. And you'll realize that you can send them out. Now, you can break the link between them, and they still both stay lit. Then try this, where you just play with one, doesn't matter which hand. But try inhaling luminescence from your luminary body into your Azure flame. Pick one hand that you're going to try this with first. And then exhale down only that arm current, out the flames, fingers, and push the flame fingers all the way up to the ceiling and see what it feels like. See if you can go and stick to the ceiling a little bit. And feel as if the tips of the flames stuck to the ceiling a bit, and you can kind of stretch them and move them around and twist them a bit, but they're still stuck as if they, had like sticky glue on the tips of them. Then you can call them back in with an inhale, where you simply go and draw them back in, and they retract as if they're like invisible flame claws, or they go back in. Try it with the other hand. You can see whichever hand you felt it better with means that's your dominant flame hand. You'll have a dominant one. It's not always your writing hand. I'm flame right-handed. Amazing. Some of the fun things you can do with this, as you learn to build your currents and your ability to move these flame energies, these luminescence, you'll become, actually, we're becoming trainers in luminescence, where we learn to move this energy, and eventually that is key to elemental command in very large ways. But when you're outside, you can play with this to see how far your range is. And if you see a building across the street, see if you can do it like Spider-Man. Right? Right? And this play is actually, you are building the ability to use and run flame. They would like to take it to the next step now, which is, we've got the flame fingers going, the individual ones. And they can also make really neat little designs in the air that'll hang there for a little while that you can see with etheric vision, which is another fun little thing, especially if you're artists. But we're going to do the whole palms now, where the whole hands will turn into flames, but the little ones will still stay on inside. So let's try that. We'll bring the finger flames together in front of the Azare. And inhale. Hold, and in a moment we're going to blow directly 3-point out the Azare, into the palms, and down the arm currents into the palms and hands, where the current goes from the left hand all the way through into the right arm and vice versa. So it's right. Try to sense what first might feel like a fuzziness, a mild fuzziness. It doesn't feel stretchy to me, around both palms, as if there's like an akasha flame that's holding them both together, and you have all the little flames still lit inside. Okay, they're saying now move it as one up to in front of the third eye, the sixth chakra, and the pineal. Inhale up into the pineal from the Azare. And exhale out the third eye and split the palm flames from the third eye, sixth chakra. And try to sense the difference in size. You have your little flames going, but you have the larger ones too. Now hold your hands about this far apart without without bumping into your neighbor. I know you're sitting close. You can bring them in a little closer if you need to, with like the elbows kind of parallel to the floor, and so you can create an arc between the two palms that are now having the big flames. See the flames link at the tip, and they're akasha-shaped flames that run with the tips of your fingers. The akasha point would be there. So tilt the two together in front of you, and then feel the bodies of them kind of draw together a bit. And there's a funny thing that activates in the elbows, where it creates like a rod between the elbows of the same type of energy. It creates a triangulation with the two together and the rod. Now, once you have the flame activated to this degree, you can play with it and build it. When you play with it until you can really start to sense the resistance between the two, it almost is like a slinky, you know, the slinky toys, and it gets bigger and larger to eventually where it's like, it might start out as a little slinky effect, where it's as if you have this huge slinky that your hands are within, and it's larger than the size of your hands. You play with that for a little bit to build the charge on that. And then fully separate them again. And make a ball in each hand of the flame energy. And to do this, you have your flames burning. And by the way, when you put your hands this way, the tip of the akasha shape no longer points where your fingers go. It goes, and they stand upright as, you know, like palms around your akasha flames around your palms. So we can start to form balls of energy with these by first contracting the flames into the palm chakra, holding it there for a minute in a condensed form as a little tiny crystal inside the chakra. And then, as if you're going to have balls manifest in your hands, not just pointed little flames, exhale and push gently, and have the flame energy come back out in the ball shape that you're aiming for. The luminescence will work with you it will take shapes that you desire. This could become really interesting much later when we get the more detailed training. Now that you have the balls, this can be fun because they can bounce and other things. Bounce, fly, zing, all that kind of stuff. Try just gently with one hand, whichever, to inhale, and as if you're going to bounce it off the ceiling, but push the exhale breath out while you're doing it to send it so it does hit the ceiling. Oh, jeez. Oops. I missed. Hit the ceiling. I went back there. But it came back as if it were attached on a string. Oh, neat. This one's new. Right. Now, when we're in group setting where we can sit across from each other, we can start to play games with the balls of energy. You can also start to put the two balls together here and create kind of like a blob. And as if it were energy Play-Doh, and start stretching it. And just feel there's an interesting feel to it. You are literally, if you could see the creation that you're making, you are stretching this beautiful luminescent toffee-like energy around. And it is a flame energy, but it also has substance that form can be built on. And there's ways to use it. And they're going to teach us eventually ways to use it where you can communicate and reach that level in the molecules of everything around you, where you could become like airbenders, waterbenders, those kind of things that they have movies out about now, kid movies out about, where it is the beginning of elemental command, of learning to play with the luminosity flames. Now, the one step further that they wanted to take, we did a little bit of this, as I said, on the 21st, but we didn't have the luminosity to work with yet because those activations weren't done. So they just had some level of the beginning level of the pre-activation stuff that we were playing with, and even that was stretchy, but I think it was a blue color. But this, what I'm seeing is it's luminescent white, but it has flickers and sparkles of things that fly through it and then disappear. It's very interesting. But not only can our hands carry these flames, but our entire body can. We have our luminary body, but we can literally activate our entire ephemeral vehicle to carry this frequency, these frequencies full on, and that will allow us to, whenever we breathe, we will be able to bring it into the molecules in the air and the atmosphere that we walk through, which means it can be of benefit to other people or beings or things as far as bringing in the host and bringing in the healing. But eventually it'll also allow us to bring it more fully into our atomic structure so that we can bring the atomic structure fully into transfiguration for full Jade travel. So this is the next step in the powerhouse techniques, as they said, where we begin to really begin to play with what we are made of, what our eternal self is, and what energy that really is at our command once our conscious mind understands what our relationship to the cosmos is and what we can do with that. So for the final level of this activation, they're asking us to stand. Call back your balls of luminescence if they get lost someplace. They're attached. There's a tether that will always attach. Okay, now gently bring your hands and the balls up over your head. Bring the palms together and allow the balls to form one large sphere. Then feel the flame of Dankiti that is in your Azare begin to pull upward as if its tip wants to go talk to the ball of flame of luminescence. And in response to that, feel the ball of luminescence starting to look like an upside down akasha as a little part of it wants to communicate with the Dankiti flame as if their 2 points are pulling toward each other. Try to feel that sensation of the two trying to meet. And now we're going to inhale, and as we do, leave the flame up there, but pull our hands away from underneath it and put them over the Azare, right hand over the Azare, left hand over the back of the right hand. And then inhale, still feeling the upside down Akasha-shaped flame of luminance up above. And on the exhale, we're going to send a current down into the orb reservoir, earth core. And as we do, the ball flipped, the flame came down, went into earth core with that, and came back up and flipped into an upright Akasha shape. So now we have a luminescent Akasha-shaped flame inside of our almost upside down Akasha shape, egg shape, ephemeral body. So this is a new level. And they said try to feel now with your palms the air literally around you, because that is where your field is. So this is a level of activation of the ephemeral body that we'll eventually learn more about what it means. But this energy is now available to us. So not only will it transmit out our hands, but it will also, if we want to, transmit our chakras, out our chakras, so we can actually direct it in different ways in larger quantity with the chakras, which eventually they'll teach us more about what applications you would use that for. But in the meantime, you have entered the next level of the wonderful worlds of Wa and elsewhere. The luminary body is with you now. If you find it pops up or is gone missing, just remember to breathe in the luminescence and say, hello, come back, and it will be there. It is activated just as the flame of Dankiti in the Azare. Once it is activated, it does not go out, it does not extinguish. You have with you now your Mandalay, that is directly from your density 6 level of personal and transpersonal self and identity. This is the beginning of a more in-depth level of personal interaction between you and the rest of your cosmic selves and the beloveds as your own awakening will proceed with this. You can combine these techniques a bit with, if you've been working with the Wa techniques, where you're, communicating through the mirror with, various of the Wa races. You can begin to, but only if you, get guidance that is the right time for you to, that you can actually begin to bring your luminary body in, and from register with yourself, with your physical body, then move it into the mirror, have it turn around and stand and look at you, and do Patra stand with you. And then you can ask one of the Was or one of your Buddha guides to come in and take you on safe journeys. But when you're working with the luminary body, it implies a level of safety that you might see weird stuff that would scare you, but you just need to realize I can demanifest that. That is not in my hologram. I will ignore that. I'm going to move through that. I'm not going to react. I'm not going to do drama, and just simply move yourself through that. What's nice is we can also begin to hold those states as we walk through life here in our physical bodies as well, where we don't have to engage dramas, nor we don't have to make them. They will always be going on around us, but we can choose how to react to that. So we're going to be looking into, probably in the next Sliders class, Sliders 10, because Sliders 10 will deal with the adept level on the mental body. We'll be looking at some of those ways of moving through the dramas of the hologram in a peaceful way that is not upsetting. But in the meantime, we have a very special friend to take home with us. It is a portion of ourselves that is the beginning, is our best teacher, actually. And it will follow, that part of ourselves will follow what we wish it to do, as long as it is causing harm to no one. You can't go send your luminary body out to kill someone, for example, or to rob a grocery store. It's just not going to cooperate at all. So, and another thing is, it is not recommended to attempt to use your luminary body if you have taken any recreational drugs, because you could get yourself in some very, very strange predicaments with that, because the recreational drugs open up missequences in the DNA, which would also reflect in your luminary body. So you could get yourself in some very weird and unpleasant situations that eventually your higher parts and your Dani Luma level would get you out of, but it may teach you a lesson in the process. So we do not recommend doing them with recreational drugs like pot or anything like that. All right? What? It's after 7. Okay. Anything else, beloveds? They said, I think that they said, I think that's it. But you have 4 on the ceiling. Okay. They're not saying who, but just everybody call your luminary bodies back in.
Missing in reaction.
There's one that looks like it's ice skating, where it's kind of going on a cord. Oh, that's cool. We can do that too. I said, use your imagination. You can do many, many things with your luminary body, and put your consciousness into them. And they said also, don't be surprised that as the mandalay activates in relation to whatever your own Dalai Lama level of identity understands in relation to where your awakening level is at here, you may get some very interesting experiences, like in the sleep state or even in just meditation states, where you might find yourself in out-of-body experiences because you shifted into your luminary. So this is, again, a next step toward the full biological freedom that is still a potentiality for some of us. And even if our bodies are still here, we've got these to run around in now. It's like having an avatar body in that movie, the Avatar movie, where they just transferred into this other body. So we're going to learn how to do more of that. I thank you for your patience in this workshop and for the timing. I hope you've enjoyed it and that you take much joy home with you and with your okay, the technique copies are going out, so you will he's saying please only take one so we have enough for everybody. You will have techniques 1 through 4 in written form. They're the ones that they recommend you do 3 times a week in sequence, even though you've done it once. If you don't have time, you can do even parts of it, but to get the most active most progressive activations and activations of your mandalay, it would be advisable 3 times a week, but not like all in a row, like Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Skip a day in between and just do them as a formal meditation and just see where it goes from there, and then play with your luminary body from there and let that part of you teach this part of you what your next step is. So we hope to see you tonight at the Indian dinner, which will be lovely, I'm sure. And I think we ran later. We're like after 7, I think, already, and that starts at what, 7:30, something like that. Yes. So we'll see you in a bit, and thank you for being with us, and see you at the Indian dinner. Have a very safe flight home for whoever's leaving now. Love you.